Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific. Oh, boy. You're probably wondering, Pacific, you always do videos on the weekend. What's been going on? You want the truth? Been busier than I've been in a long time, and it's all good. Friday, I got off work, went to Walmart, got my groceries, came home, threw my laundry in the washer, then the dryer, ate my dinner, spontaneously called a girl that I had dated a couple months ago. Black girl, and I say that because this is going to be talking about, I hate to use the word racism, but yes, racism, prejudice, the way people look at things. We're going to be talking about something interesting. We're going to focus in on Cherry Creek Mall of Denver, Colorado. We'll get to that in a moment. But the one good date that I had since living here in Colorado, the one best date I had was several months ago actually, with a black girl, 28 years old. And I thought, well, maybe she's not interested, because after that date, the next day we saw each other, and then, time just kind of went by and I didn't hear anything. Well, over the course of this weekend of us going out, we had a wonderful time. She finally revealed some things to me that she had not seen any guys at all. But she had gone through a lot of the same thing I did. Felt that people didn't accept her. Some rejection issues. And she said, "You're a really nice guy." And I said, well, when I said I really want to ask you out to be my girlfriend, last time, you didn't want the people at the other workplace knowing about it. And that made me think you were... She goes, "No, it's not that." She goes, "Sadly, even though I'm black, a lot of the black people I work with, when you're happy and you're with somebody, they'll try to create damage. Either lie about me or talk behind my back, and things will get back to you at the other workplace." And I've seen many relationships ruined over stuff like that. And I said, but if I know you, and I hear that, I can say I know her, and that's not true. But there were other deeper issues, and after talking, I said, I guess the only way I can pitch it to you is this way. If you have the peace of God when we were together, that I'm different, and that you really, really like me, you're going to have to trust that God brought this together, and you're going to have to trust that people are going to give you flack, that first of all, we're Christians, you and I, and the world system's going to hate us. And they'll be nice to your face sometimes, but they're going to hate us. I said, enter into the fact you're a black girl dating a white guy. You'll get flack for that, and so will I. And we're going to talk about that. And I said, I'm a little bit older, and I can tell you, I don't care what people think. And then she told me that she had tried to live her whole life trying to please her family, did everything they wanted her to do. And finally, one day she turned around and she goes, what if God has a will for me that's different than what you approve of? And I said, there you go. Now you're talking. So Pacific is going out with somebody. Pacific, she made a decision to say, I said, do you think that you kept telling me over and over all you wanted was somebody to love you and accept you? And I said, did it dawn on you you've got somebody who's doing that and you're trying to push away? Now, let me say, this is not like the Latvian Eastern Bloc white girl I dated. And when I was out in public with her, nobody stared. But I'm out in public with her, the black girl, not only do they stare, people descend into rude real quickly. Offensive stares. Not smiling, not like, oh, look at the cute couple. Like, whoa, what's that? A white guy and a black girl? So Friday, said, you want to go to a movie? She said, yeah. I went and got her. We went to Cherry Creek Mall, went and ate at Panda, went window shopping. She looked at purses, and we went cruising around. And I noticed it, but I didn't say anything. white couples, white women, the hot-looking, snub-nosed women, excuse me, staring, turning all the way around. We held hands. We were walking through the mall holding hands. She's very dark, darker than even a lot of the African Americans here. I think she's pretty. Solid muscle in her shoulders. She's well built to me. And we're not being obnoxious. We're just walking. And she finally says, when we get close to Nordstrom, she goes, "Wow, did you see that guy? Totally turned all the way around and stared even after we passed." I said, "Yeah, I've been seeing that all night." I said, "You know, Denver's pretty racial, isn't it?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she looked at me right in the eye and she goes, "It's because you're with a black woman." I want to say something about the kind of people that shop and go to Cherry Creek, the mainframe, the majority of the people. And Pacific is not just being vindictive and hostile. Pacific is telling a fact of a very disgusting thing that goes on in American culture with my own race of people, white, European descendants, especially the ones that get a little money, a little prestige. The kind of people that are staring at us aren't your blue-collar working class. These are your high-maintenance white women, very good-looking, some of them. A lot of them with the breast implants and 10 tons of makeup caked on to hide all their imperfections. Overpriced, dowdy-looking clothes. I cannot believe how many white women don't know how to dress with any kind of style. That the American system, Macy's, Nordstrom's, a lot of the outfits that they put out there are just blasé. I mean, gross. Pretty woman, nice frame, nice figure, chops up and puts all this frosting and color things in her hair. And I had a woman respond to my video, "Boy, you got a lot of nerve thinking that women can't do whatever they want." I didn't say they couldn't do whatever they want. But women think they can do whatever they want, but we're not allowed to comment while they judge and put us down at all levels. I read the comments by American women. I watched 3 minutes of this video, and he's just an angry man. Angry? I wasn't screaming and yelling and threatening, and I was just very firmly, matter-of-factly saying, here's the way Western women are destroying themselves. Remember Gypsy did that, everybody? You talk with intensity and passion, and American women say, he's got an anger management problem. No, it's called passion, something you don't know what that means because you've been bought by a television set. But let's talk about the kind of women and men that frequent Cherry Creek Mall. With the exception of me and a handful of others that go there just because they like to go shopping, or me walking around, or as a date, bad weather or hot weather, it's air conditioned, go in and walk. You're going to be safe in there. Nobody's going to beat you up. Nobody's going to physically do anything. It's more what I call undercurrents in body language. The kind of women and men that were staring at us are the kind that worship their SUVs, their little doggy, their Starbucks, their materialism, and themselves. These are the kind of people who think because of their income and their cracker box house that they bought and paid way too much money. And I say cracker box because a lot of the new homes, the construction on them is less than stellar. They meet code, but in 20 years, siding's falling off, the roof is leaking, mildew's in the walls, and if you're in the bathroom and you got a bedroom 3 bedrooms away, you can still hit a toilet flush. People want to pay $500,000 to $1 million to $2 million for that. And I'm going, okay, you go, boy. For as young looking as I am, at 49 years old, for driving a school bus, for driving trucks, for doing the regular mundane things that they would think are mundane, worthless positions to be in, I like quality. If I was a millionaire, I wouldn't buy their houses, I wouldn't buy their SUV, and I wouldn't get their pedigreed dog that barks and yaps and keeps the neighbors up all night. And I wouldn't buy one dime at Starbucks, except maybe for a bottled water if I was desperate. The problem that I have with white middle class and upper middle class, these are the same people who, when they walk through the mall, haven't worked a physical hard day all their life. Pushing the lawnmower around their estate is their idea of a hard day. Working in the office, sitting behind a desk, pushing their pencil, that's tough, man. Sorry, no offense. I understand there are people smarter up here and do a lot of your desk jobs. And I'm not saying there's not stresses and deadlines and stuff like that. But physically, you're sitting on your butt. These are the same people that get in their expensive cars and will run you down in a crosswalk, cut 2 inches in front of me and go like this in their Audis, Lexus, Beamers, Hummers, and think the traffic laws don't apply to them. And I'm supposed to have some sort of respect for these fools. These are the same morons that stared at my girlfriend and I as we're walking through the mall, minding our own business, quietly conversating with each other and giving us the dirty looks. Cherry Creek. A whole lot of losers that aren't living in Laguna, aren't living in Hong Kong, aren't living in New York City, and think they've arrived at the apex of humanity because they can afford to shop at Cherry Creek. I would kindly refer them to getalife.com because you're living on the head of a materialistic pin. Now, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We went to the movie theater in Cherry Creek Mall to see Tomorrowland. Standing in line to buy tickets, there was a tall black guy, slender guy. He had on a pair of slacks with big tears in the just below the butt. You know, that was the style. And his blonde, hot-looking, shorter than him girlfriend had on a thing that come across like this, one piece, and she was constantly pulling it up. I thought, boy, if she lets go of that, it's going to go whoop, and you'll see everything. I mean, it didn't even fit her properly. And I'm going to be very honest. When I took one look at her, I thought, you can tell by her face that she's high society and the way her hair was, but I thought she's dressed like I'm loose, I'm easy. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to offend some people. I don't have a problem with biracial dating because I'm doing it myself. Sadly, in American culture, I don't see too many successful black male, white female marriages. What I see is, ooh, she's a hottie, I'm going to knock her up and poof, on to the next woman. Now, nobody was staring at these two, but people were watching us like a hawk. Like, why is that? When a white guy is with a black woman, people just can't deal with that. He was standing in front of us. He turned around, glanced our way, didn't give me any smile. Because it has been communicated to me by other black men, verbally to me, they're okay with dating white women, but as soon as one of their sisters dates a white guy, then they get upset. Double standard much? I think so. Nothing against Cherry Creek. Cherry Creek is Cherry Creek. It's a place. It's the people who make or break something. Most of the stores in Cherry Creek Mall are overpriced. They're paying huge exorbitant sums for rent, so they're going to inflate that right back into their cost to you. That I can do without any of the items at Cherry Creek. That if Cherry Creek Mall completely folded and shut down, the only thing I'd miss is a nice indoor racetrack to go walking on. Panda Express, that's cool. Food. But most of the stores in there, most of what is in those stores is not what I would call necessity. It is flim-flam and way too much for it. And if you want to know about a culture, when you see upper middle class people spending hours and hours in these places, buying the kind of crap that they buy, spending the kind of money they spend on this, and the jewelry industry is a racket. When I was with my Filipina friend a week ago and we walked through there, I'm looking at bracelets that are $1,800. And she's telling me, oh, but that's value. I said, when you buy that out of Macy's and walk out of this building and you go up and try to sell that for $1,800, you're not going to get it. Try to sell it for $1,000, you're not going to get it. Try to sell it for $500, you're not going to get it. One of the biggest lies foisted on consumers in America is jewelry cost. The diamond market is the biggest scam out there. Do your research on that. The diamond mines and all that, they act like diamonds are rare. They're not. There's a whole lot of diamond mines. And diamonds are quite plentiful. And it used to be that it took, what did they used to say, a one month's check way back when to buy your girl a diamond. Well, now it's way more expensive than that, depending on what income level you're in. The diamonds are expensive. And what's really funny is you can buy cubic zirconia and you can't tell the difference unless you're a jeweler with a magnifying glass. People are vain. But let's get back to prejudice. Let me say something to the white women at Cherry Creek. I already know you wouldn't even look at me as a date candidate. Why do you care if I date a black woman? What business is that of yours? Number 2, in my experiences with white women from when I was in my 20s, barring the 14 years of a marriage, and even with her, white women are not passionate, they're not sweet, they're not nice, they're materialistic, they're fake, they're contrived, they've been schooled well in this culture of how to make like professional nice. My girlfriend and I yesterday drove up to Lookout Mountain. It was scalding hot down here. We went up the grade, up I-70, went to Lookout Mountain. I took her to Buffalo Bill's grave. She'd never seen it. A lot of tourists up there. Several of them smiled and said hello, and they were white older couples. They didn't have a problem with it. In fact, several smiled because we were arm in arm. She and I walked down a trail through the woods a little ways and went to this tree area overlooking big boulders, and we were looking down at the series of mountains and all that. And she was taking all that in going, it's so beautiful. She leans her face against mine and puts her nice arm around my backside, and I put my arm around her, and I thought to myself, wow, affectionate, warm, sweet. I was raised in a culture in America by our media. My sister at Cosmopolitan, and I confess, ladies that are high society will love this confession. It was good toilet material when I was a kid. You know, the kind of stuff you to. When I was a kid, Cosmopolitan was porn. I mean, women with the bra strap hanging off the shoulder. And yet, you look at those pictures now, and there's so much caked on foundation makeup. They've put this whitener pink stuff so you can't see the dark spot from the stubble that they didn't shave off. It's amazing the doctoring that they do and the airbrushing they do with a lot of the white women that are out there as the rave review, the Taj Mahal of beauty. I had an Asian woman in Hong Kong say, why is it that everywhere you go in the U.S., the whole front covers, the whole media, the whole dominant theme is big busted white women? I said, because they've raised that as the bar. And I've seen black women and I've seen Asian women that are smoking stellar, beautiful. They make a lot of these high society white women look second rate. I talked a lot in my video series about the attitude and the stuck up, narcissistic, feministic, that most of these women are not in what I would call happy marriages. They're in marriages of, they got the looks, they snag the man with the money, he gets hot body, doubtful on the hot sex part. Or I should rephrase that, you get sex with her but not making love. And there is a big gulf difference between the two. I speak from experience. I've had women that have had sex with me, and I've had women that have made love with me. Cosmopolitan, when I was a kid, I'd read some of the articles in there. As a kid in the 80s, how to have sex on a loading dock, all the ways that masturbation is so wonderful for you for relieving stress. This is targeted at females. Then even Cosmopolitan was pushing the lesbian type scene way back before it was in vogue like it is today. And I learned a lot by looking at this magazine, and I have to go back and go, most women grew up on this crap. People magazine, Us, The Boston Daily, the Boston Globe, the National Enquirer, and a host of other tabloid trash, as well as women's magazine, Elle, Cosmopolitan. And you look at what they're promoting. And it's not Asian, it's not African American. And if there is an African American, she's way at the back somewhere to do the little patronage to tokenism. And it's disgusting that the dominating theme in any checkout aisle is white women with big boobs. So you go into Cherry Creek Mall, and you got all these women walking around in there, and it's a hen house of the worst order with high society stuck-up women that forgot that they go to the toilet and poop just like everybody else, and they smell when the gas comes out just like anybody else. But for some reason, they've got it in their mind that they're more refined and better than everybody else. And me, as a dumb bus driver, gets out there on the street, and I see the way these high society women drive. No turn signals. Speed limit is not obeyed. They'll cut in front of me, I'll honk. And those women will look at me like this. Like, what is your problem? The more affluent people become, the more retarded they become. The less ability they have to hold the mirror of truth to their face and take a good long look. And do you know why that is? Because they have a mile-long line of men that will eat out of their hand for them. They're so focused on these, focused on their hot-looking beauty, they don't care about a genuine, vibrant, passionate relationship with that woman. They could care less. They're going to go to their workaday world and say, yeah, that's my woman, man. What isn't told, though, is a few times I've met some of these high society women at the end of their little train ride. I had a woman, when I used to take my son to the library, hot-looking woman, pull up in a brand new Excursion, jumps out of her Excursion with a couple of kids, and walks right up and starts talking to me. Stunning, 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 stunning beauty, nice-sized breasts, the whole thing. I take my son into this reading time. Kids are there reading. She and I go off to the side and talk. She goes, yeah, I'm a trophy wife. I said, trophy wife? She goes, yeah, my husband's very well off. And, I don't have to work. He bought that Excursion for me. It is amazing what a man will do for his penis. The amount of money they'll spend, the lengths they'll go to get that hot-looking woman. And this woman is having more conversation with me than she'll probably ever have with him. And I said, so what is that like? Do you love him? Oh, he spoils me, but he's a jerk. But what about you, lady? Did you love him? Did you love him for him? When I look at white women and the way they look down on me when I went over to Asia, I heard them say it. I heard it right out of their mouth. Oh, American men date Asian women because they can't get anybody here. Partly true, partly false, but what they conveniently leave out and what they edit out deliberately is the fact that white women have pushed American white males away, even those of us that are slender, hardworking, don't do drugs, drink, smoke, whatever. You try to tell most American high society women the truth, they will not listen to it. They will shut this off. They go, oh, this guy's an idiot, clinically diagnose the hell out of me, and walk on and go get another $5,000 purse. What I don't understand is in 2015 in America that considers themselves the greatest nation on earth, that people can still stare at a white guy and a black woman who are doing no harm, walking hand in hand, and obviously happy. There used to be a bumper sticker. I saw it in Minnesota, and I thought it was so funny. Some guy in a big pickup in liberal left-hand Minnesota, flaming Democrat, flaming pro-liberal. And one day I'm driving through the main street of Virginia, Minnesota, and I see on the back of a guy's pickup, Annoy a Democrat, work hard and smile. I laughed. I'm like, yeah. Same thing applies to society at large. Drive a 20-year-old truck, wear a t-shirt and jeans, have a black girl on your arm that's down to earth, be happy, not cause any trouble, and you will start a firestorm. That's a very good barometer of what kind of great shape America's in, isn't it? In other words, no matter how much money these people make, no matter how hot looking they are, something wrinkles inside of them overseeing that. Money can't buy happiness. It's a fact, and yet people keep pursuing it and pursuing it and pursuing it. People laugh at the Bible. I like what the preacher said this morning. I loved it. I even wrote it down. An atheist can stand up there and say, there is no God, there is no God, there is no God. The Bible's garbage. And he can believe anything he wants. It not only doesn't mean it's true, but it doesn't mean he's going to avoid the consequences of what comes down when he dies. Same thing as a guy with a revolver, all chambers loaded with bullets, saying, well, I don't believe this thing's going to kill me, and he pulls the trigger. What do you think's going to happen? He's going to shoot himself and either be killed or seriously crippled for life. So it doesn't matter what he believes. You can believe that that gun isn't going to kill you, but the reality is if you pull the trigger, it will kill you. That's why I laugh at atheists. Oh, there's no God. You don't have any proof. I did the video on that church shooting in Charleston. The black church that happened just this week. And what do people do? They get on my channel and argue about some of the comments I made. I said, we all came from Adam and Eve. There should be no racism. And then you get the nitwit atheists that get on the channel and go, and there is no Adam and Eve. You got some goat herders, bunch of myths. And you call yourself an intellectual? The Bible is not written by goat herders. Where'd you come up with that crap? The Baby's Liar Book of Whales? You'll have to see my other videos to get an explanation of that one. I don't feel comfortable with good-looking white women. And they'll say, well, it's because you're insecure. No. It's because you're so inflated in your opinion of yourself that you're not even reasonable or rational. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around people that are playing pretend and have a view that is the majority of the people today that is so far left of truth. These are people that are living for the here and now. These are the same people that spend an hour talking about their beautiful home that they purchased. Home? Yeah, I see your spoiled brat kids driving like spoiled brat jerks cutting me off. Yeah. Home? No, it's a house. It's a box. A box that you fill with your junk that you paid too much money for. I don't see the upper middle class elite turning out good, productive, in the sense of helping our society become better people. I don't see it. I see snobs, spoiled little brats. When they don't get their way, watch out. So my question to these white women is, why do you care if white guys walking through with a black girl? Oh, I know. You probably think she's a hooker, right? Try again. The man of the house said she's very polite. I brought her by yesterday. Very mannerly. I said, you know what? She's a very nice girl. The woman of the house today said, I really like her. She's great. I don't see you with her. What do you mean by that? Well, she looks rough. I said, rough? I said, well, she doesn't look rough. Well, she doesn't look refined. I said, what does refined look like? And then I brought up Cherry Creek Mall. I said, okay, those women look sweet, got the little Goldilocks curls. I've seen all kinds of hot-looking women that pay $3,000 for their hairstyle. I said, you see me with those women? I said, let me tell you something. And I finally cut loose tonight. I said, have you been out there and seen what the women my age are doing today? I said, you're in your 80s. When you were growing up, it's a whole different ballgame. I said, the women you hang around with your Christian Women's Club are in their 80s. No, but I met their daughters that are right around your age and they're so sweet. I said, they're sweet to you in front of the elder ladies. You pull them out and put us around us viable single candidate males and watch the attitude begin. I said, they are picky about how much we make, picky about our looks, picky about everything. I mean, picky to a bad way. slender, muscles, good shape, but I'm not 6'2". I don't have the right job. They're not going to ride in a 20-year-old pickup with some rust on the fenders. No way, siree, Bob. Oh, they're not all like that. I said, no, just 99%. I said, I've been here 3 years, ma'am, and you've seen it. You yourself said some of the gals that I dated, like the one a couple weeks ago that I finally shanghaied and said, see ya. It's been very quiet since that last phone call when I said, look, there's nothing else to discuss. You fuss about me using your soap because it's face soap and I didn't know that, and it's a bar soap and a soap dish. You fuss because I got too close to you when you were looking for a nail and I didn't touch you and I'm trying to see with my eyes and help you find it when you asked me to hang the mirror in the bathroom. Come on, man. She and I had a good evening. Parked at a park in northeast Denver till late. I got home at almost 3. I stretched my legs, took my sandals off, stretched my legs across my truck seat. She sat between my legs and I had my arms around her, and we just sat there. Windows down in the dark. And every so often a little hot breeze would blow through, and that felt so good. And I said, you know, it feels good holding you. She goes, and I like being held. How many people at Cherry Creek Mall do that? No. She even told me something. When we go around the park, go around. Don't park over by the houses. Those are mostly white people, and they'll complain if they see us sitting in here. Just told them. No clothes were off, none of that. I'm ashamed to admit it. But I know it. I know it exists. White people can be very, very rude and discriminatory. But I've never yet. And what you will see with the Cherry Creek people, what you will see, is those men, those high-powered, show-off, stuck-up, conceited pussy boys that wear their Izod shirts and their preppy stuff and their boring men's clothes they spent too much money in their Birkenstocks for. Those are the same ones that'll get out of the corporate at lunch hour and go be screwing around with somebody in the company in the back seat of their car and getting some head. True story. I know this to be true because when I used to work for Aurora Public Schools way back in the 90s, then the training, they took us way out on a dirt road that dead-ended somewhere to do our training. And one of the trainers said, you will come down this road and you will find business class males, high society males making love, having an affair with somebody in their company out here. It's like, really? But we still got white people worrying about a white guy dating a black girl. So I said to the lady in the house, I said, what does love look like? What does a relationship look like? You think it should be white? I said, you know, not one of those hot-looking white women would ever look at me. Never, except to stare because I'm different. But they're not going to look at me and go, dang, he's handsome. And I got a little indignant with her and I said, you're going off a stereotype. I said, she's warm and affectionate. No, I know that. She's very nice. But she just doesn't seem like, you just don't seem like you two belong together. And I said, do you know what's funny? Out of all the dates I've been on since 2012, coming back to the United States of America, the most dysfunctional land ever, and people hate it when I say that, for what we've got, we're as dysfunctional as hell. I can't tell you this week how many stupid SUV idiots, SUVs, with dog paw stickers all over the back, dog hanging out the side, cut around me, no turn signal, driving unsafe. Last night I come home, 2 SUVs. I get down the street I'm on, and there's a cop car blocking it with big red flares going off, and I see the 2 cars completely crushed. Somebody went into the wrong lane head on or turned in front of somebody, and pow! I drove through there this morning. There's still sand and oil stains and fluid all over the ground. It must have been a doozy of a collision. Do you know who drives the worst out there over anybody? The upper middle class spoiled brats. They're the ones that in rush hour are cutting people off and doing the road rage bullcrap. They're the ones getting on the right shoulder and passing all the traffic and cutting somebody off without even the courtesy of a turn signal. I kid you not, that if I were to sit down and break it down ethnically, the white middle class spoiled brat people are the worst drivers out there. The rudest, the most unkind in their SUVs and oversized pickup trucks that they really never use for hauling. It's just they want to play, I'm a man. Because in the office, they're a wussy that sits in their little doughboy pants thinking they're hot stuff because they make $100,000 a year to push a pen around. While I bust my butt in the hot sun and I'm working my muscles, moving batteries, moving semi-trucks, dealing in a real man's world where people work. And I don't get respect from suits and ties. I get more respect from truckers and people who are blue collar and physically work hard and work low paying jobs just to exist. They are kinder to me than corporate American big shots. I can't even begin to imagine being inside of a Cherry Creek lifestyle marriage and feeling like that would be a comfortable place for me to sit in and observe. What does this have to do with me and my black girlfriend? That my white society can't give me that. Last night we parked at a different place. We had a little more privacy, did a little kissing. It was hot. I took my shirt off, she leaned against me, and we dozed off. I mean, it was late, and we just dozed off with all the windows down in the truck off. And then this deliciously cool breeze wafted in the back window, the side windows, and started blowing and dancing across my shoulders. And I said, man, what a perfect evening. And she says, it's beautiful out. I said, holding you and that breeze on me is nice. How many high society girls can you do that with? I'm going to tell you something I've observed. Those people don't know how to have fun. Their idea of fun is a sterilized vacation with 50,000 suitcases and all their little fanny packs and all their stupid little crap that they buy and their 50 designer water bottles. I watch women in that genre, and they're all exactly a clone and the same. Boring people that they only get excited about wasting money, getting into debt, and buying a bunch of crap that they don't need, and then driving their SUV like worse than a teenage kid would. And then when you honk at them, they give you the dirty, I'm mature, why are you honking at me? Because you're an F-up, lady. You're a jerk. You're a self-centered, narcissistic piece of white trash. And we talk about trailer trash. I've met women who live in mobile homes that are not trailer trash because of a stinky husband that played around and left. They're raising their kids. They teach their kids respect. They live in a trailer. They work with their own hands. And those women that will give me the shirt off their back when the chips are down, not the Cherry Creek set. The Cherry Creek set, if I had a bad wreck, they'll gawk and look. They ain't going to stop. You know who stops in traffic accidents? Blue-collar people. I know what I'm talking about because I see it. 10 Mercedes will zoom right on by. Ha ha, look at that. Ha. Oh, I can't wait till that happens to you, bud, because when I drive by my truck, I'll go, I'll call 911 for you. I'll let them get you out of your car. I'm not sticking around. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it, white boy. Do I get angry? Do I get passionate? Yes. The people that shite on me the most? White middle class, upper middle class people, Cherry Creek people. They're the biggest jerks. Let me tell you what happened today. Going home from church. Stop at the store on the way back. Cut off twice. Older white guy with a beard. Super duty diesel. Stupid duty, I should say. It's construction zone 30. Big sign. Fines doubled. Puts the turn signal on. Blink. Cuts over. Then I get on down towards the light. He stops in front of me and moves the right no lane. No turn signal. I hit the horn. He looks at me with the look. at my back window. I said, use your turn signal, butthead. And he's going, use your turn signal. Oh, and you might want to slow down for the construction zone when you haul butt around me. Why is it people older than me are pathetic examples in America, and when anybody calls out somebody on their garbage in this country, there was a sticker or a picture that was circulating around Facebook that said only in America where a person can do somebody so wrong and you turn around and react to it and they look at you like you have a problem. That is an epidemic in our culture today. What does this have to do with my girlfriend and I? It's all connected. Those white girls aren't going to give me the time of the day of even admiring me, let alone go on a date with me. But yet something bothers them when they see a white guy with a black girl. Why is that? Is it racism? I don't want to be so bold to play race card there, because I don't know. But Denver has an attitude. I have said that. Denver, Colorado, to me, is one of the least progressive cities that I've ever lived in. Oh, they'll claim gay rights and gay pride parades. Disgusting. Disgusting that we actually have police, taxpayer dollars, shutting off streets to allow them to act like Sodom and Gomorrah on floats. With children around, people around. And if I was a mayor, I'd say, you know what? We're going to allow this stuff to shut down traffic. Sorry, these streets are for traveling on. Unless it's the end of the war and the servicemen are coming back and something that actually matters. A bicycle race. We're going to shut down 26 miles of Denver over a bicycle race. These are the same guys that blow stop signs, red lights, cut around me, get that far from hitting my truck with their handlebars, and you honk at them, and they go like this with their little fag pants on and zip around traffic, disobeying every traffic law. No. You want to race your bike? Go get on some dirt trail somewhere and get out of my way. Thank you very much. You're an idiot. It's that upper middle class scuzz culture that makes too much money, that are spoiled brats. They're going to ride their bicycles and break every traffic law, that will stare. These are the people, and I wrote this down because it came to me. The Cherry Creek women are the kind of, what do I call the TMI people. You say something, and, oh, that's TMI, but they will stare. I was taught as a kid, don't stare. And if you're going to do it, there's a way to do it without making yourself obvious, but they just giraffe neck. Hey, let me lend you my camera and take a picture to last longer, toots. You have no idea how much I want to just turn around and say something. But I'm so happy to be with her that my anger subsides and I just shake my head and go, hey, if they're happy in their little tiny isolated world, and I say isolated, let me define that. Isolated with a large group of lost souls that think materialism, SUVs, dogs, Starbucks, and Cherry Creek overpriced stores is where it's at. That's the world system. That's the world system that Christ said, they will hate you. Marvel not that the world hates you, it hated me first. Do you think that those people love Jesus? Nope. They'll claim they're educated. Educated. I love that satanic lie. That is classic. Educated in what? The fool has said in his heart, there is no God, it says in the Psalms. Romans chapter 1 says, even the creation itself testifies to the fact there's a creator. And atheists have the audacity to say, we're educated. Conservatives aren't educated. What really angers me about society is the way society tells us lies over and over again. You know, they teach kids Santa Claus exists, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, the Boogeyman. And I'm going to say it, and it's going to offend some of my viewers. Some people believe Bigfoot and Sasquatch is running around. And I'm going to tell you, you know what? That is the same old recycled bunch of garbage. I don't believe it. There's many bullcrap. They have never had a clear photographic image of anything. It's always been blurred and oversized footprints. They have found over and over that some dude with a big cement shoe went around going and taking a pine needle broom and swishing over his own footprints. One of the biggest lies foisted on American public is what Darwin teaches, is that we all evolved from monkeys, that there is no God. The scientific community hijacks the word science. Science, by the way, the definition as I understand it, this is not a Google or Wikipedia definition, but my understanding of science is in a controlled environment, doing an experiment and recording the data. You can't record data on evolution because it's not happening. The fossil record doesn't testify to evolution. You have a huge sloth. You have a brontosaurus. You have a trilobite. There's no half in-betweens. There are no transitional life forms in the fossil record. There's no transitional life forms in the living record. If you don't believe me, get on a plane and fly to every major city in the world. Moscow, London, Paris, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Beijing, Melbourne, Sydney, and you'll see people. You won't see a monkey tail coming out of their butt. You won't see bat ears. You won't see fish scales. You'll see human beings in their completed state. It really angers me to watch ignorant atheists calling themselves intellectual, or as Richard Dawkins said, brights. What a joke. Yes, brights. The high beam's got in your face so much that it's blinded your vision and you can't see. I gotcha. Yeah, you're brights, all right. One of the most difficult battles that Pacific has is reconciling the fact that I live in a world that is very hostile to Jesus Christ. No, they're not cutting off my head and they're not arresting me and telling me I can't read my Bible and shutting down churches. It's more undercurrent. It's an undertow of a culture that we live in. When I was a kid, there were signs on the Oregon beach. Caution, undertow. Daddy, what is that? Well, you get out there and you be standing and the current's so bad it just suck you out to sea. Rip tides. They have different names for them. We've got that in our culture. And if you're not careful, our culture is so overpowering, it'll suck you out to sea. So many Christians compromise and lose it. I've done it. We just soften and we embrace stuff we shouldn't embrace. And we get sucked little by little out to sea. And one day, if we wake up, we look, hey, where in the heck is the shore? That's about 300 miles that way, buddy. Start swimming. Be not conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's a discipline we must all employ as Christians. Every good and perfect gift comes from God the Father, not Cherry Creek Mall. What God gives to me is truly good. If God leads me to a woman who can give me the kind of love I need, what is everybody else's problem with that? I have watched white culture, and people hate it when I say this. They don't give me any proof or evidence. They just rhetoric. Oh, they're not all like, show me. Show me. Let's get a camera and let's do reality TV of the white middle class home when they don't know they're being filmed. That ought to be an entertaining show that we would all like to see. You notice people with money are very careful to keep out of that limelight? It's called image. You can take an old truck and put a beautiful paint job on it, but if you don't sand the rust and do all that preparatory work, it'll look good while the underside is just corroding away. And that is what I have seen in 49 years of my existence of white middle class. It's all about what you have, the cars you drive, the house you live in, and it's all veneer. Stand back for a while when they get older and you'll see that veneer start to blister and bubble and peel right off and you'll see the particle board underneath. It's all fake. Some of the couples I've seen that don't look like they belong together are the happiest, most loving marriages you've ever set your eyes on. I'm going to tell you something. This black girl's arms are solid as an ox. Nice skin. I would rather have that than these soft white women that lift up their arm and look almost anorexic, and you go like this and goes blah-blah-blah-blah. Marshmallow girls, I call them. You know, the ones that go to the workout club and think they're chic. No thanks. I'm going to say something. I do know for a fact that black women tend to be more affectionate than white women. A lot more soul in their affection towards somebody they're in love with. Fact. Why is that? I don't know. But it's true. My experiences with Asian women, way more Filipinas, I got to say that, more affectionate than white women. More erotic, more sensual, more sweet on me. Wow. What we've seen in American culture is a conditioning of our white society that has had huge, far-reaching implications that is destroying us. White women have been massaged that it's about materialism, college degrees, status, style, stuff. Status, style, stuff. The three stuff. That's it. American women focus very little on this, if at all. And a lot of the women that go to church that are good-looking Christian women, they don't even know what this is. They just think it's a Valentine's card. That is my opinion based on years of observation and watching it play out. I go to church this morning. Older Asian woman hugs me and doesn't let go. How are you? She's not flirting. She's married. She's affectionate. There's a few white women in there that are affectionate, will hug me. But as a rule, no. I'll see the pretty slender women with their husbands. They're rigid. They're more uptight. Things bother them more. Petty. You won't see them be sweet on their man. I don't know how they happen to have children. I like Cherry Creek Mall to walk in. It's a beautiful building inside. And it's people that make or break a place. I have nothing against Denver, Colorado. If I can look past people and look at the weather and the moods of the climate here, it can be cool. The way a storm can suddenly come up with such fury here. Lightning, thunder, torrential rains, boom, clear up, the sun's out, dries off, and it's like it didn't happen. A snowstorm that can roll in and blizzard for a day straight, and the next day the sun comes out, and the pavement's already starting to steam as the snow's melting. It's unbelievable. Go out east, out in Aurora, and there's prairie dogs, stand up and yip. It's the people that make or break a place. When I say Denver sucks, it's the people. So I'm going home from church this morning. There's that guy. I go to the store, come out of the store. The Suburban's poking around in the right lane. I get in the center lane, go to pass. No turn signal. White couple, older. Just drifts over in front of me. No turn signal. I hit the horn. Then he guns it and goes at a high rate of speed up there. Stays in the middle lane. I signal, move back to the right lane, go 35, post the speed limit. Get up the street I need to turn off on. And just before I get there, he puts his blinker on and waits until I get real close and then just pulls right in. I would have had a clear shot of stopping at the red and making a right turn after red. And I thought, you son of a bitch. I can tell you that I've watched people play games, people deliberately piss people off out there. Denver culture is for the birds. And the only people that don't see it are the ones causing the problems, the ones that behave like this. That Denver has such a head of the pin mentality that they have to beat that person to the next red light. They are retarded here. It's truly retarded. I grew up going to Laguna, Malibu, San Clemente. I went to nice beaches. I didn't think I was all that on a stick. I know there's women out there in Hollywood that think they're all that. Start looking at their lives. They're a disaster. They make good money. They're not happy. Marriage after marriage after marriage. Drugs, drinking, more breast implants. Got to get attention. Got to keep that look at me thing going. Hollywood, to me, is no big deal. They buy their edifice mansions over there. One of the biggest tragedies that I saw was O.J. Simpson and Nicole Simpson. Nicole, hot-looking white woman, big busted. That was a great marriage. Fighting, him threatening her, hitting her, beating her, 911 tapes. Oh my God, ah! Screaming. In his Brentwood estate. And this guy had the police over for pool parties. Mr. Juice. People get mad when I comment on the negative stuff of American culture. I wonder why that is. Which leads me to this segue into my next comment. One of the viewers that I've had, sang something, white guy, wrote me on the church shooting video where I said that what that white boy did was so wrong. He wrote me many messages saying, I cannot stand you, you're a white hater. I'm a white hater? Really? Because I vociferously said that what that white boy did in a church was wrong? I would have said it if he shot 9 white people. And then more details emerged. He shot a pastor, several women, an ex-senator, black people, plugged them, killed them, and then smirked on his way under arrest. What a douchebag. Personally, I'd like to pull the lever on the electric chair if they threw him in it. We all struggle with sin, but when I see the level of callousness, and his dad bought him a handgun, the people that are causing the destruction of our society is less the blacks and less the Mexicans. It's the white people that got the big money that are passing policies and legislation and yet not following the same dang rules that they scream and yell need to be enacted. Have you ever been in a covenant-controlled neighborhood? Those are humorous. I mean, that's more pathetic than Pee Wee Herman on a bicycle. Go into a covenant-controlled neighborhood, the one who's the head of the association, and watch what their teenage kids do in the neighborhood. Wheelies in their cars, burning rubber, shooting off fireworks, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And neighbors start to complain. Other white people say, hey. And he gets an attitude. You don't talk to my sons. You don't tell them what they can and cannot do. But watch out if a black family moves into that neighborhood who actually respects and follows the rules. Oh no, we're not going to put up with that. The neighborhood's going to hell. I know the way my people think. It's disgusting, it's revolting, and it needs to be shouted from every rooftop in America. I was telling somebody the other day, our media, our Colorado News, our ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS, they're not using the news as a frickin' tool for change, except in a very negative, diabolical way. Spin doctor stories, make an anti-conservative slam, an anti-God slam, an anti-creationist 7-day literal view of the world, creationistic viewpoint, make fun of mothers that stay at home instead of following a career and worshiping SUVs and materialism, promote gay lifestyles, promote the murder of children, calling it abortion choice. The most destruction in America is coming from white, upper, middle class people and corporate Nazis. not black people, not Hispanics. It is the white people that let the Hispanics come in as illegals because they want to pay them the cheap. Yo, I'm getting it. We created our own problem in this country. We turned around and said freedom of speech. That's funny. There's a tricky issue. We uphold things saying it's okay to burn our U.S. flag. That's nice. Not. We tell people they can't yell bomb in an airport and they can't yell fire in a theater. But how many corporate Americans will go F you to me when I honked at them for almost hitting me and no signal and no politeness and not even following the traffic laws? How come I don't have a right to speak out against that? Mr. San, whatever, you're a dirtball. You're a racist, hating dirtball. Get off of my channel. I've already reported you through the Google forum that you are inducing hate and racist speech. I had somebody on my Facebook several months ago, why would you date a black woman? Is this a trick question? Why would I date a white woman is what you should be asking. I've watched white women go down the toilet. I don't care how well they dress, how much money they make, and how important they think they are. It's all BS. They're not contributing anything to the collective good of society. Text message. Oh, boy. Wow. What are you saying it's so damn important in your $50,000 SUV when you just went through that red light because you're texting? Could you please tell the audience, ma'am? And you know what happens when an American woman actually, through her negligence, kills somebody? Do you know what their mentality is? Can we get over this? Can we get past all this? I want to get on with my life. What about the guy you just ran over? I knew that things were getting worse when I watched people with dogs. And I've told my viewers, don't date those hot women walking in the park with their dogs. Don't even look at them. They're a relational disaster waiting to happen. That dog will take first place in their life. Not you. When I watch people with dogs in their expensive SUVs get 2 inches from my toes when I have a walk sign, and I'm being courteous. If I see a car's already entered the intersection starting to turn, I'm not going to just go, I've got the right of way. I'll wait. I'll go ahead. You were there. But no, I'm halfway out. American white women and men are pussies. Because they think they're all that behind a car as they drive off. Ha ha! I admit, that's when I wish I had something military could design for me that I could just point at their car and immediately disable the thing and then walk up and say, so do you feel big in your 4,000-pound piece of crap you paid too much money and got in debt for, almost running me over? Let me grab your dog and slam it to the pavement and watch the outrage. Look it on Facebook. Sorry, even some of my own fans constantly react to the abuse of animals, and it is very much angry. And I think animal abuse is wrong. But I am making a point. You don't care if you endanger my life and get well into my personal space with a vehicle big enough. That is more threatening than a bunch of people supposedly running around with guns. Shoot, there's so many people in Colorado with guns, I don't even think about that. Because they're not running around shooting everybody. What scares me more than anything else in this country is the minute I get in my truck or I step foot to cross a street. White middle-class people in their SUVs. They don't have enough care and enough couth to give me any space to allow me safe passage across the street in an intersection where I have the walk sign and the right-of-way. And those same morons will wet their panties seeing me with a black girl in a mall. Years ago, there was a shooting at Cherry Creek or some incident outside the theater that we went to. And right away, all the rich elites that go in there say, we don't need riffraff in here. Yeah, well, that means you, buddy. What is the difference between a rich spoiled brat and a poor spoiled brat? Nothing. It's just that a rich man can afford an attorney and get off. That's all. You think the rich people, because they have their money, are more refined? I'll tell you what. I'll cry BS. People that got the money are usually guilty of the biggest racketeering, underhanded scheming, and crazy stuff. And when they get in their car, they never go the posted speed limit, never use their turn signals, and don't follow traffic laws. And those are the people that think we're supposed to bow down to them. You got to be kidding. I love America, and I love our flag. But if you think I like these kind of people, and if you think that if we were invaded that I'd want to defend those morons, you got to be kidding me. I tell the invading army, go over there to Cherry Creek Mall and lay siege to that neighborhood first. I'll help you do it. I don't want those kind of people around. Am I promoting violence? Would I go out and harm them? No. But let me remind every American out there, Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative, Christian or not, the people that caused the subprime mortgage scandal were upper middle class corporate buffoons, white people. Not blacks, not Mexicans, not Asians. Stop and let that settle in, white America. And you wonder why I date a black woman? I had a nice weekend with her. The first nice weekend I've had in a long time with a woman. And she wasn't white. If you think that I'm going to stop because of a few dirty stares guessing in, I'm not going to let somebody take what brings me true happiness and makes me feel like a man that's loved over your crap. I've tried to live your life. I've tried. I've heard all the crap. Oh, well, he graduated from Yale with honors. Who cares? Can he drive his freaking car properly? No! I judge people by how they are right now, down here. Not for what they think they are over there in their little covenant neighborhood. I've heard stories of other elite mentality people that have told me themselves the problems they had with homeowners association and the covenant control community. Says I come out of my driveway and the neighborhood's got his car parked up on his own, the homeowners association owner's lawn, blasting his bass music. I go over and say, hey, can you turn it down? And the kid goes, my dad's in charge of the homeowners. I don't have to do what you say. Go knocks on the door and the dad says, and what is your problem? Do people really think that because you have money you're more moral? More classy? It's all pretend. Go through Cherry Creek and look at the women who do the cosmetics department in Nordstrom's. They look pretty from a distance, but get up close and see all that brownish, beigeish, chalkish foundation all over them, hiding the bumps and lumps and scars. And I tell you what, and I'm sorry to say what I'm about to say, but a lot of white women, you get up close to them and they're really not all that. It's all an image from a distance. People don't like Pacific because Pacific is not in a box. If you have a free spirit about you, you're going to be hated even more. Why do I walk in Cherry Creek Mall? Because I can walk wherever I want to walk in this world with some limitations. I don't stay in my neighborhood. I work in Commerce City. I work in Denver, 2 different jobs. I go to Cherry Creek. I'll go to the Aurora Mall. I'll go where I want to go. When I lived in Hong Kong, I'd walk right out of the expat, lily white neighborhoods in Soho. The Aussies getting drunk with their big boob, bimbo blonde wives. Even Beth had commented to me, why do the white women feel the need to show their boobs? She called them suso, the Philippine word for breast. I said, I don't know the answer to that. They want attention. I do know that. But I said, why they're married and do that, I don't know. I've always wondered that myself. Why are you advertising your hardware? I heard white women in Hong Kong make a comment, well, Asians don't have any boobs. What are you doing in Hong Kong, stupid? This is their country. I knew white women there that because they had been there long enough and got residency, they opened up their little cutesy shops. Same thing, stuck up. And not even nice, the Chinese that, and it's going to be interesting. Because Hong Kong's in an interesting position. They made an agreement with England to allow Hong Kong to run. And after they handed over in 1997, they said, we'll let Hong Kong run the way it is for 50 years and then no more. If China wanted to come down and said, okay, all you white guys, get out. There's not a thing the expats can do. Nothing. And I think that'd be the best thing that could happen to most of them. An Australian woman in Australia told me that a lot of the people that move to Hong Kong and do the finance and the banking were not accepted in Australia. They were braggarts, loudmouths, thought they were better than everybody. I thought all of Australia is kind of like that, with the exception of a few people. And she said, they come back from Hong Kong and they walk around acting, and the rest of us just shake our head and said, loser. I said, you're kidding. No, we're not impressed because they live in Hong Kong. They were doing business here and nobody liked them. They were jerks. Well, that gives me some insight into why they were so rude. Unbelievable. I feel more fear on the streets with white people driving upper-end SUVs and pickups than I do the blacks. I lived in a black neighborhood, and yeah, they yelled stuff at me and stuff, but nobody harmed me. I'm not saying blacks don't speed and don't use turn signals. Some of them do the same thing. Go up and down Federal Boulevard, and a lot of the Mexicans don't even know how to drive a car, let alone I don't know how they pass the test to get their license. It's ridiculous. And you got bumper-to-bumper traffic going 35 miles an hour in rush hour, and you get a Mexican turn out, and they'll go 10 miles an hour in the middle lane, and everybody's trying to get around them, and they're not waking up. I see it all. I talk about it all. White women culture leaves a lot to be desired. Back to Nordstrom's in the makeup department. Those are not nice women. Those are not the kind of women that you could classify as sweet. Oh, they're hot looking, if you're into that. And even Pacific admits that all the porn I've looked at, the hot-looking white women, I know what they're like. No damn good relationally. They're awful. Stuck up. I'm good-looking. I know it. I make big money. Those aren't sweet lovers. Those aren't the kind of people that are going to care for you when the storms hit. As much as I love ocean liners are so vulnerable to storms. They're so big, they're so long, they're so tall. And so many of them met a horrible end. Fires at sea, icebergs, rammed in a fog by another ship that didn't see them. Storms cracked them in half. And then you see these freighters, these plucky freighters, rust marks down their hull, and yet they go for 50, 60 years. Surviving storms. Bow goes completely under the water, bobs back up. And you stop and go, what is it about that? Well, the analogy fits. The average guys that are working, blue collar, they get through life. These people that I'm talking about in Cherry Creek that are very judgmental about a biracial dating scene, when you pull the rug out from under them, they're ready to commit suicide. Go back to the Great Depression and the stock market crash in 1929. Millionaires, rich people jumping out of the windows of their buildings. You people say there's no God, but you made a God out of your money, didn't you? How'd that work out for you? Pacific wouldn't want to lose everything he has. But if I did, I'm not going to commit suicide. And I don't have much. We'll see how things work out with my new gal. But the evenings were perfect. Saw the crescent moon last night and two planets to the right of that so close. We're sitting there trying to figure out if it was Venus or Mercury or what it was. Or Saturn, I can't remember. Pacific has a free spirit. I'm always amazed at the Cherry Creek mentality. And I can put this anywhere in the U.S. You can go to Omaha, Nebraska, and people live across the way in the bluffs think they're high society. Ooh, Nebraska, you're living on a bluff overlooking a muddy river. Okay. I mean, I don't care where it is. South Hill in Spokane. Expensive homes on a hill overlooking a pretty deadbeat city. People in Minnesota that live on Lake Vermilion, a mosquito-infested, murky-watered lake. The cabin that they bought in the 40s for next to nothing is worth $1 million. I'm like, what are people thinking? It's interesting, isn't it? The world is upside down. The way they look at things is upside down. I treated both women nice. The one I dated a couple weeks ago, that was horrible. The one I'm dating again, I said something to her. This may shock my viewers. I said, you know what? What you need to realize is I understand now when you talk about having been rejected, you don't want to be rejected again. But I said, you're going to have to take risks and you're going to have to step out on faith. I said, for crying out loud, I spent $20,000, 4 years, 3 trips going to Hong Kong to pursue a woman. It was a complete loss, with the exception of the knowledge I gained into Asian culture living in Hong Kong for 1 year. What do you have to lose when you just... And she went on. It just flowed right out of her. All the things that were worrying her. I said, well, if a man is genuinely wanting to be in love with you and fall in love with you, then your problems should become his problems. In the right way. I'm not talking about she needs to be responsible for things that she's done if she's done. And there's none of that. But I said, you know, people today are putting a big premium on, I want a man with no baggage, I want a woman with no baggage. I said, good luck. Because in the U.S., this is baggage claims right here, United States. Everybody's got baggage. You got way more baggage than they should have. And unfortunately, there's no written law that says you can only have so much baggage. Only when you get on an airplane. But you can carry as much baggage as you want to shoulder on your shoulders all through life, and there's no law against it. But I said, when somebody loves you, they're going to accept you. She started to say, you know what? I have kidneys that are debatable. I've had some blood tests. And I said, I did not know that. You look very healthy. She goes, well, they could give out. I said, you know what? I still like you. So what do you want to do? You want to worry about what a bunch of people at your bus terminal think? Do you want to live for the approval of others? What do you think about me? Because I'm not interested in just doing a casual date thing. I don't want to rush the altar. I don't want to move in with you. But I'm asking you. You want to be my girlfriend? Because I'm asking you. She said, the answer is yes. I don't want you to go. She said, no guy has treated me like you. No guy has accepted me like you. She's got some eczema on her hands. It makes them a little bit rough. Just on her hands. I reached over in the truck and I held her hand. And you know what I've learned? Is that we can go through dysfunctionville so many years of our life that when something comes along that we've always dreamed for, part of you goes, wait a minute, this can't be happening. I'm used to rejection. I'm used to bad stuff here. And I said, you know what you're doing? You found somebody that isn't like what you've got, and inside you're panicking, going, no way, this can't be true. I'm going to tell him all this ugly stuff, and he'll reject me before I get involved with him, and then I'm really hurt. She goes, that's exactly what I was trying to do, and I saw that today before you even talked to me about this. I feel like God has answered my prayer, and I'm pushing you away because I'm afraid. I said, what are you afraid of? That you might not like me anymore. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, I'd rather enjoy you for a short time, even if your time's going to be up. But I said, you don't know. No doctor said, oh, you're going to die. I said, you're doing some blood tests and getting some work done. Let's find out what happens. But I said, I like you. I'm not going to say, oh, got a bad liver. I'm done. Kidney, whatever. I'm done. See you. Let that be a lesson to you guys, that there's a difference when you like somebody. You're more willing to put up with some of the other stuff. It's when you don't like somebody that all that stuff bothers you. When people say, well, I can't live with this, I can't live with that, there's some things I can't live with. You know what I like about her? She doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, she doesn't do drugs, and she doesn't go to Central City. So she's not into any of that. She's not a materialistic, rabid person. Try to find a white woman where all of those are in play. Let me say that. No drinking, no smoking, no drugs, no gambling, and not a materialistic pig. And 5 things. Find a good-looking white woman that isn't guilty of one or all of those things. I thought so. I'm not saying that there's viewers on my channel that are white that are automatically guilty. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying in my face-to-face experiences, very, very hard to find. I said, does it bother you that I'm 20 years older than you? She says, no. She said, because you're mature and I can relate to you. Why in Denver? And Mayor Wellington Webb, when he was in power, said that Denver was a world-class city, and I laughed. No, it is not. When we still have upper middle class to rich elite walking through Cherry Creek Mall giving me a unkind, unapproachable stare because I'm walking with a black girl, that right there is alone to sink any city and say, that's disturbing. Where's there a rule that I should only date my own kind? And I've tried and tried. And I look at the guys these cats date, these white, they're idiots. I don't care if they got a good job. I don't care if they got a gym membership. They are jerks. Because I'm going to say it again. You can fool people of who you are until they see how you drive your car. I base a person on by how they drive. You weaving in and out of traffic, cutting everything off to your fancy little office job, you're an a-hole. There's no other word for you. You may think you're skilled. No, you're not. You don't drive for a living. And the business spackies, they get in accidents too, by the way. Just a lot of them get away with it so long that they get a false sense of confidence. Yeah. When a sweet black woman puts her arm around me on a mountain and leans her head against my shoulder and my face, and I lean mine against hers. That's really nice. I didn't specifically go look for a black woman so I could make a statement. No. But the first date I went on with her a couple months ago was stellar. There was no red flags that showed up. But when I asked her Sunday, and she didn't want anybody to know, we work in a very interesting environment. People are mean. Not all of them. But she even admitted to many of the black people will be jealous because she's happy and they'll try to say bad things about her, talk behind her back, and then spread gossip and rumors. And I said, I hate to tell you this, but you're going to have to learn to get over that. I said, I go through that at my terminal too, and I don't care. I said, if you're walking in the truth and you know the truth, let them manufacture anything they want. She even admitted to me, well, there's just two girls that always were mean to me and this and that, and finally they got fired. And I said, yeah, and sometimes God comes down and says, I'm going to remove that problem. But I said, why deprive yourself of a relationship based on all the what ifs? If you don't have peace with God about being involved with me, then there's your answer right there. But you told me you have peace with me. You feel content with me. And you said something that really shocked me today. You're the first guy I've ever opened up as much as I have because you really draw me out. I said, well, there you go. You think I'm going to reach in with a knife and stab you? No. I said, if you're just having a bad day and pick up the phone and say, I don't want to talk about it, can you come over and give me a hug? I'll be there. How's that? She goes, I would like that. So I did put her on the spot, but I said, I want to give you time to think about it, but I'm going to ask you boldly and directly. Because I'm not interested in dating. I didn't look at you as casual. I said, the way you put your arm around me on the mountain, I said, there's too many things you're giving off that tell me you're really into me. She said, I am. I said, so what's holding you back now that we've discussed all this? I said, you look at the way I hold your hand and held it, massage it. So you got some eczema, big deal. You don't got 3-inch warts all over your body. And no, she doesn't have those at all. But I'm just saying, you could have worse afflictions. We kissed last night. She put her hands on my shoulders and my shirt was off. Her touch was so light and sweet. And I was like, oh. No, we didn't have sex. But my point is, for those of you that get on my channel and liked my channel, now suddenly you hate me because I'm defending the black people against a white, young, punk shooter in Charleston. Could I politely ask you a favor? Get off my channel and go away. I don't support your racist attitude. If you think white people are the cream of the crop, I can give you 1,000 hours of videos proving you wrong. Right out of my 49 years of living. Am I a racist? No. But I'm man enough to admit that growing up in my own white neighborhoods, I've seen so much hypocrisy, so much stuff that the media never reports. Do you know who keeps the racism going more than anybody else in America? More than the blacks, more than the Latinos, Hispanics, Chicas. White media keeps it going and going and going while they go off to their little homes in Connecticut and their states with high intense security surveillance, Martha Stewart, Martha Liberal Raddatz, Cokie Roberts, and all your journalists that are looking worse for wear and pouring on more makeup and more liposuction and breast implants and skin tucks and everything else and go off to their fancy estates. They don't give a crap about the damage they're doing to society. They got the good life. They got their best life now. I'd like to see the media mount cameras to its SUVs and start watching the way people are driving in traffic and show that on the news, complete with face pick and license plate, and say, look at this bonehead. Why? Because the media has the power to change behavior. But instead, they encourage materialism, narcissism, stuck-up women. They'll do a frickin' 10-minute special on somebody's $3,000 poodle makeover, talk about Starbucks' new latte that they're having and how popular it is. And we got big problems in the world, and those are largely ignored. Who keeps broadcasting the riots in Missouri and Baltimore? White media. Play it over and over. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Giving them the stardom that they're looking for. And the black community has learned, oh, we do this, we create a scene, and everybody's watching it. If I can't get good attention, I'll go for negative. That's what it's all about. Most of the problems in the United States of America were caused by white people. What we did to the Indians was wrong. Bringing the blacks over slaves and abusing them was wrong. And I believe that in large part a lot of the bad dynamics, a lot of the negative dynamics that exist within an African American U.S. culture is a consequence of what was done by those before us. Just like Ishmael in the Bible. Sarah said, here, have Hagar, sleep with her. Maybe she'll have a son, that'll be our boy. Surrogate, right? You know the story. She got upset, boy grew up, get them out of here. So Hagar runs off in the desert, about ready to cry and die, and God says, hey, you're going to make it. But he gives a prophecy that stands to this day. Ishmael, your hand will be against every man, and every man's hand will be against you. The Middle East. Anti-Israeli every day of the year. Do we think that things are any different when we bring African Americans or Africans over here, make them slaves, beat them, whoop them, rape their wives, take their wives away from them? I love the white man on that. They're racist to the core, but yet they had sex with many black women. Strom Thurmond, way too long in politics. A white guy. Racist to the core. Liberal. I believe he was liberal. Then finds out his last years in office, some woman shows up and said he had my child. Why? I know enough to be dangerous about what has gone on in this country. I don't know everything, but I pay attention. If you want to read a very disturbing book, read Native Son. I'm not going to tell you. Go look it up and find it. It's disturbing. We need to get into the minds of others. We need to get into the minds of ethnic cultures and why they think the way they think. And yes, sometimes my culture and other cultures and ethnic cultures are wrong-headed in their thinking. But I've noticed that if you try to challenge white culture thinking, you get all this. Nope, talk to the hand. White culture is very responsible for keeping racism going because it makes news. White culture is responsible in feminizing and destroying Western women. They get off on that. No one's going to do a story on a sweet, loving woman who's raising her children at home and being a stay-at-home mother who loves her husband and is faithful. And they're not going to do a story on that. They're going to do a story on underarm, unshaved hair, Miley Cyrus yelling about how God and the Bible's a joke. They like that crap. They eat it up like dogs lapping up biscuits and gravy in a dog food bowl. No, even I know. Who's caused so much money and caused all the inequality and inflation? White people. Fact. If you want to see how stupid our culture has become, go to some of these designer stores that upper white people shop at and look at the crap you can buy and how much you got to pay for it. A cutesy bric-a-brac pot for $50 this big. No use. It's just some bric-a-brac you can put on a shelf. Go to the container store. Plastic containers. Ugly, unsightly. And they buy 10,000 of them and line them up under their bed, line them up under here. It's like, if you'd stop buying all this stuff, you don't need all those containers. I look in on photos of the room or the place where some of the people who actually changed the world stayed, and there's hardly anything in there. A table with a candle, a frying pan, a saucepan, a glass for drinking liquid, and a bed in the corner, and a Bible. The people that changed the world for the better lived extremely meager and simple. They consider themselves aliens, just cruising through, just passing through. The people that camp in the United States and buy their fancy house and their fancy cars and think that this is going to go on forever, make their little custom funeral arrangements, and believe in their little mind that they're going to look down on their little gravesite someday. You got to be kidding me. Nope. And these nitwits get all bent out of shape and just totally disregard cultural and etiquette protocol of don't stare. When my girl and I walk through the mall, I think what really bothers them is seeing a vanilla and a chocolate holding hands, and we're smiling and we're enjoying each other. They don't know how to deal with that. I'm sure the women will go, wow, what's he doing with her? She a whore? Can't get anybody? Desperate? No, she's pretty to me. She's very attractive. I want my viewers to know that if anybody on this channel has a problem with me dating a black woman, get off my channel. My channel does not promote racism, though people have accused me of that. Some guy by the name of The Allen has gone round and round like a toilet bowl. Your title is very misleading in your video. Chinese in Hong Kong are rude. You make it sound like, I said, if you listen to the video, it says not all Chinese are like this. I really hate it when people tune in on one of my video channels, hear a couple words, sign out, and leave this plethora of comments, and I write back, if you'd have listened to the whole video, I dealt with everything you said, and you're wrong. And then they keep coming back for more. People are so dumb. Pacific doesn't promote racism. I've very boldly said the only thing I'm prejudiced against is idiot, rude people. And there's a lot of them that are white. A lot of white people are greedy bastards, sons of bitches. They'll screw you over. They'll raise the rates. I look at the real estate market in Denver right now. It is insane. People that owned apartment buildings 40, 50 years ago and still own them are raising the rents, raising the rents, raising the rents. making them so unaffordable, and they're just milking nothing but profit off of these buildings. White people do that stuff. Never mind handpicking good tenants, keeping the rent down where you still make a profit, and they can afford to live there, and because you've handpicked good people and you don't raise the rents and keep moving them out of existence, you're going to have good people that don't put holes in your walls and damage the building. But no. It's all about money. First, last, giant deposit. Most people I know can't even afford to save up the first and the last and an equal value deposit. They make you fill out all these silly applications, and then you have to pay the $15 fee. Nobody, you pay the $15 fee if you want to know my background. I shouldn't pay for that. You're the one that wants to know my background. You pay for it, idiot. You're charging $1,000 for that apartment building you bought 50 years ago? Come on, man. You're making nothing but profit. Can you pay the $15 application fee? Love that one. Application fee. Really? You're in your office. You're going to look at an application. You're going to charge me $15 to look at my application? You're an idiot. White people charge for everything, and they screw people over left and right. Not all of them, but the big shots that control just about everything in America do it. White people pass legislation that costs the consumers and the working man more and more and more and more. California's passed all this strict legislation against truckers that if your truck's sold, you can't drive it there unless you spend $35,000 to put an upgrade on it. Who sits there and comes up with this crap? But never mind, those same people are driving their excursions in Super Duty, filthy butt-plugging diesels and their SUVs that consume more gas than a standard Honda sedan. They don't do any legislating about that, do they? Animal rights activists, PETA people want to scream and yell every time somebody thinks that somebody's abusing an animal, even if it doesn't happen. But it's those same people that'll run me over in a crosswalk. But don't you dare pull on their doggy's ears, or they'll want you in the death chair. I'm speaking truth, man. And people don't like it. Truth hurts. Truth really angers people, and it will make the worst come out in people. Go back and read in the Old Testament. They stopped up their ears. Crucify him. Get this guy out of here. Kill him. Stone him. You think America's any different? If I had a bullhorn and I had the means to broadcast, I guarantee you they'd take me out in a white body bag. I'm not that big. You notice that the evening news doesn't talk about bad drivers except when it's convenient for them? And I've watched Channel 4 Colorado News in their SUV go blasting past my school bus in a speed zone for 30 miles an hour. No blinkers. And I want to go up with a camera and say, check this out. Coming up next, what you need to know about Channel 4 News and the way their reporters drive around town. They don't believe traffic laws apply to them. Let's do a story on that, shall we? Don't you love the news? They're out running around looking for all this hypocrisy and discrepancy. Start with your own crew, boneheads. I'd like to see that aired. Americans are stupid people. They believe the media. They think the media is their friend, and yet there's hypocrisy right in their own camp. The stories that they picked to air that night, those are deliberately chosen. But what you're not getting is what they leave out, the way they spin it. It is my belief that most elections are determined before anybody goes to the polls in this country. It's all the way the media spins it. It is. The media wanted Obama in. As soon as he gets in, they start bad-mouthing him. Funny. The news sometimes makes its own news by causing a problem. Starts off with a couple people busting store windows. Now we're going to get down here and we're going to look at this, look at this, look at this. The other thugs sitting in their home going, they're on the TV. Let's go join them. Let's make this big. The media is too stupid to realize they're creating the problem. Not even my fans would want me in power, because I'd shut this stuff down so fast. Everybody that has an SUV in the U.S., I'd charge them an additional $5,000 just for a license to have it. So you're going to go through special training And you'll be retrained and retested every 2 years. And you'll have drug tests, and you'll have to perform a physical just like truckers and bus drivers do. And if your BMI is too high, your eye start to go bad, you're done. Do you want to know what would happen if I did that? America would scream and yell, but they do it to bus drivers because they're a little overweight. The truck industry right now is hurting big time because of BMI laws. They just passed those at the top of this year. Means if you're not height weight proportion, you lose your CDL. Well, how many slender people are going to sit and drive a truck? Most of the truckers are big boys. Who came up with that legislation? Somebody who was killed by a truck. The driver fell asleep, ran off the road, and killed a family of 4. Do you know how many truckers kill a family of 4 in the U.S. every year? Minuscule. Do you know how many idiots in SUVs, businessmen, soccer moms with their minivans kill people because they're driving very stupid and know better in broad daylight? And there's not 1 ounce of legislation stopping that, is there? Nothing. Why do CDL drivers have to have tougher physicals, drug tests, but none of John Q. Motors Public does? And what they claim is that if you're overweight, you can get sleep apnea. Well, what about the millions of drivers out there that are huge, that have admitted falling asleep behind the wheel and didn't go off the road? Oh, you just can't do that in a truck or a bus, but you can do it in your car. Let's ask a question. How many semi-truck drivers have been killed because a car cut in front of them and they swerved to avoid it and lost control of their truck? More than semi-truck drivers have caused deaths by being stupid. More by big margins. Do you notice the legislation is designed to create the most inconvenience for the hardest working people? But they don't use that same legislation to deal with the people that are actually causing the bulk of the problems. I've said that America's a funny country. We will never legislate anything that the masses are against. Never. We'll legislate stuff that selectively targets the smaller of the large. And it's not black people that do that. It's white people. It's white bureaucrats. It's Washington. It's feds. I don't like Obama, and it has nothing to do with his color. It has to do with the fact he was a lousy Chicago politician. It has to do with the fact that since he's been in office, debt has continued to escalate worse than anything Bush left us, and they're still blaming Bush for that. Barack Obama has not once come out publicly and said, I made a mistake. The cost of health care has gone up so high that people can't even afford it because of what I've allowed to pass. But meanwhile, the atheist nitwits get on my channel when I'm trying to make a statement about a disturbed white youth shooting up a church. Oh, your Bible's fairy tales. I don't believe we came from Adam and Eve. Look at the content of the video, hose bag. Stick with the theme. Go take your little anti-God rant and go into the bathroom, stick your head down the toilet bowl, pull the chrome handle, and yell down that little pipe that the poop and the pee go down, and tell them that. Because you know what? Atheists are truly stupid people. When they're sitting here arguing and getting on my channel to make their little shingle for atheism. And the same old rhetoric. I have all the proof. You don't. Show me the money. You can't. Not one atheist has disproved the existence of God to date. Not one. Not in the science lab, not in the intellectual lab, not in debate. They manufacture lies, false evidence, ignore the retractions in National Geographic and Christian Science Monitor and all the other junk out there. Yeah. I was thinking about fingernails the other day because I was scrubbing the pool yesterday. I had to scrub the sides and the bottom with a brush and Comet cleanser and hose, spray it, scrub, get it all cleaned up. It's being filled right now as we speak. Just think if God didn't put fingernails on here. You stub your finger, your toe, it would hurt. Take that fingernail off and feel how tender that is. Yeah, God gave us fingernails. You can pick things open with fingernails. If you didn't have fingernails, try to get a key off a key ring. Try to take that little ring, separate it without fingernails. You can't do it. I find it funny that just this right here talks about and testifies to the Creator. Uniform fingernails, all 5 fingers. Opposable thumbs. A left formation and a right formation. That an atheist is so unintellectual that he cannot see that this is clearly designed by a master designer. 2 eyes that can move, taking color, that ears can actually hear sound that is recognizable and transmit that to the brain. I say this over and over because I need to stick the boot in on atheists. They seem to flock to my channel often. If your stuff is so true, atheists, why do you keep getting on here and leaving your dumb comments? You're not changing me. You're not changing the world for the better, so why don't you go somewhere where everybody will agree with you? What are you, the new evangelists? The atheist evangelist? I got to convert you to atheism. You're not going to do it, buddy. You're going to hell. I'm going to heaven. That much is fact because you deny the existence of God. You're not going to sell me on that. Are you nuts? You can believe whatever you want. Doesn't make it so. Now, the Bible was not written by goat herders. That's an ignoramus, anti-intellectual fool making comment like that. 66 books of the Bible, most of them written by different authors, no collaboration with the other. It says the Bible is God-breathed, that God moved men through the Holy Spirit, using their own unique personalities. You see Peter and Paul, the distinct and different personalities, as God spoke to them and wrote them, the Pauline epistles. No one can deny the existence of Jesus Christ. No one. If they do, they're just being stupid, playing ostrich. But then they won't ask the next question that Josh McDowell asked. Well, Jesus Christ claimed to be God. Jehovah's Witnesses lie and say he didn't. But Jehovah's Witnesses believe the father of lies. They're not witnesses of Jehovah. They don't know him. Another big lie is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. 1, it's not a church. 2, they're not of Jesus Christ. They're not saints. They're not. They're Mormons. They're a false religion, a cult. But Jesus Christ existed, and he still exists. And Jesus claimed, no man cometh to the Father but by me. Do you know what that means? This isn't just a man that was a good man with good teachings, because then you'd have to say he was a Lord, liar, or lunatic. He either lied to the people, or he was a lunatic, or he was Lord. And when you read the account of him in the Gospels, there's nothing there that's fabricated. 4 different Gospels, different angles of things, and they all point to one fact. This guy claimed to be God. He didn't commit any sin, he didn't break any laws, but he sure got the religious people all hot and bothered. So much so that they demanded his crucifixion before Pontius Pilate. I find no basis for these charges. Crucify him. So it is with you, Christian, even in America. You start saying the truth hard enough. I'm not talking about being obnoxious and being a, troublemaker. But you start teaching the truth hard enough and speaking it, you're going to have people threaten you. It is black and white. It truly is. God is undeniable. Atheists know deep down in their heart that they don't have any proof. They're just lost souls running around with a bucket over their head in a basement with no lights on, thinking they're finding their way. That's laughable. And there are still people out there that think it's wrong for a white man to date a black woman. That's laughable too. I very boldly state that in my 49 years of living that I've become increasingly more suspicious of, distrusting of, and wanting to avoid white women. I have every reason, legitimately, for why I feel that way. I don't want to do them harm. They've done me harm, and they continue to do harm on society with feminism and their silly little childish ways that go on and on and on. And I don't care if they're in Cherry Creek. I don't care how much money they make. They're immature. They're childish. They're selfish. They're spoiled brats. You see it in the way they drive. Guy in a Suburban, new Suburban, older than me, he's got to cut me off, drift over to my lane, no signal, right when he sees I'm trying to get around him because he's going 7 or more under the posted speed limit. He didn't need to get in my lane, but he just did it. And I've watched our culture play games, power games, deliberately trying to cause a problem. Why do they do that? I can't answer that, except to say they must not be happy. Because I don't play games on the road. That's not smart. Back to a black woman. When she gives me more love and affection, sweetness on me than any white girl. Fish or cut bait? I think the answer's obvious. Mr. Sand whatever, you're an idiot. I'm a white hater. I've been hated by whites, buddy. Lots of them. I've watched my own culture shred me, put me down, make fun of me. When I was all-American, Chevy, apple pie, flag waving. I've been thrown under the bus more by white people than I ever have with the black community or the Asian community. Notice I didn't say Hispanic. They got a host and raft of problems. And I'm not going to get into that in this video. But even I'm smart enough, and I had to say these things. I talk about black issues, but it's time to poke the finger in on my own culture. We got problems. Lots of problems. White people are empire builders. That's a fact. Look what we did to the Native Americans. Look at what Walmart's doing. Look at what these big box retailers, they will go in and shut down a main street of town by offering lower prices. And as soon as that Walmart does that, then they don't have enough customer base. They shut down the Walmart. The town's a ghost town. Walmart moves, and then people got to drive 50 miles to go get stuff. Nice job, Walmart. Glad you care. I shop at Walmart. People may say, well, you're a hypocrite. No, I shop there because it's here. But I don't like their practices. It's easy to say boycott them. Every place in America right now seems to be just raping us. So you boycott one, where are you going to go that isn't doing some underhanded sludgy deal somewhere else? Greed is a bad thing. And that is what is driving most of the problems in the business world right now. The racism, hostility of me on a date with a girl that's sweet on me. Doesn't make sense, does it? I'm tired of what our culture has done to white women. Oh yeah, some of them are hot, hot, hot. But no thanks. They're a relational nightmare. They don't think the way I think. And I don't think the way they think, and nor am I sorry for that. Don't see too many ladies anymore. I sure don't see godly women out there. I sure don't see the kind of women that I want to emulate. I just know that when a woman touches me on a mountainside and puts her arm around my back and leans right in close to me, All the explaining in the world and all the articulation out of my mouth means nothing. Touch is a powerful thing, especially when it's warm, sincere, and loving. For all the white, stuck-up women out there, you can stick that in your pipe and smoke it. I don't drink, but once you've had wine, it's kind of hard to go back to beer. And that's all American women are, is an old crushed can dumped out on the ground of Coors beer. Not all. Let me qualify that. The stuck-up, high-maintenance women are a beer can. This is Pacific signing off. Bye-bye.